What we can only do, only influence, is what we do in order to achieve the target. I mean, there are three things you can influence. Everything else is beyond your control. You can influence your action, nobody else's action. Most of the people talk about, I mean, he did it. It's why he behaved with me like that, why he did that. You know, it's always the other, but there is nothing. You're focusing on something that is totally beyond your control. That's number one thing. Second thing that you can control is your reaction. How will you react to certain stimulus? But still people talk about the stimulus. Why did he behave with me like this? Why did she do this? Why was the waitress like this? Well, always blaming the circumstances. The third thing that you can influence, and this is very important, is your own mindset. Other than that, everything is irrelevant for you. 1 minute of energy that you're focusing on someone else's behavior, on someone else's action, on someone else's reaction, you're wasting your time and energy. Period. But 99% of the time, actually, most people, even 100% of the time, they focus on other people's action. Why is he doing this? He should be the one who is not behaving like this. He should do this. They should do it. Customer should do. It's not in your hand. You can only engineer your action. You can only engineer your reaction and your mindset. There's nothing else you can do. How transformation happens is really the question today. Before I even tell you how transformation happened, let me tell you a very interesting study. Google did a research on their employees. Who are their best employees? It's mind-blowing, the result of this research. Their best employees are not the Ivy League graduates, are not the one with the highest grades. Their best employees are the ones who went through a situation in their life that was transformational. And it is often a life and death situation. It is often a situation where you have no choice, like David did not have any choice. It is often a situation where you have to go for it. There is no other ways. It turns out that 60% of Fortune 500 CEOs have military background. It's again mind-blowing to me. And what has that got to do with transformation? I'll tell you what. In my opinion, in my theory, again, it's theory in progress, it's work in progress, there are three ways you can achieve transformation. One is what Google research revealed, that you have a life-changing experience, life and death experience. It could be financial, it could be health, it could be relatives, it could be your family, it could be anything that gives you no choice but to move on. But there is one caveat to it. It is not given that if you just have an experience that is, life and death, or you go through extreme hardship, you will have attain this transformation. It's not that straightforward. It is how you deal with such situation. There are two ways, in my opinion, to deal with such situation. One is, you can say, oh, I'm wrecked, I'm screwed, life is betraying with me, and you get destroyed. Or you say, okay, life gave me gave me this challenge, and I will make the best out of it. I'll overcome. And the second one matters. If you can deal with such situation in this way. This is the first way you can attain transformation. Does it mean that I'm suggesting everyone should go and look for a life and death situation? No, this is not I'm suggesting. There are fortunately two other ways. The second way is extreme self-discipline over a long period of time. And when I say a long period of time, I mean decades. And this is where the example that I gave of Fortune 500 CEOs, what are they going through in their life when they were in the military? They were trained for extreme discipline. And Obama once said that if you want to get things done, hire veterans. I totally can relate to Obama, because veterans are the one who might, not all of them, who might have even gone through a life and death situation. And their purpose is, life and death. This is a life and death call, oftentimes, not always, oftentimes. So extreme discipline over a long period of time can attain you transformation. This is the second. And the third one that I think that you can attain transformation is a transcending experience. What do I mean by that? So I'll have to go a little bit and tell you the background of a transcending experience. There is a Dutch cardiologist, Van Loppel. He recorded about 400 back then. By now it's much more. When he published the paper, it was 400 patients who had cardiac arrest. What is cardiac arrest? Cardiac arrest is like for 5 minutes or so, you're in a dead state. Your brain doesn't work, your heart stopped, you're in a dead state. That's cardiac arrest. So his experiment setup was also making sure that your brain was absolutely non-functional. There was nothing happening in the brain. His medical experiment setup. So these are the people who went to cardiac arrest, 400 of them, and it turns out they were still conscious. They could see what the doctors were talking in the room. They could see even what was happening across the hall. They could see, they could hear what was happening around them. So it is evidential fact that these people, although they were at a dead state, they had consciousness. So the old school idea that your consciousness is based on your biological bit of the wetware, the brain, is outdated by this discovery. And Van Loppel's experiment was reproduced by other universities, and they got similar results. So we are not quite dead. It's hard to say that it's a proof because it's evidence. Nobody should even go and say this is a proof. It's evidence. We have enough evidence to say we might not be dead when we're dead. So that is mind-blowing. And that is what I call a transcending experience, an experience that you go through that is beyond our intellect. And I believe that all of us have gone through this, at one point. Transcending experience, you always feel transcendental when you're looking at the cosmos, for example, or maybe if you're religious in your prayer, you feel that you are part of a greater thing, something that's beyond you. And that can give you transformation, in my opinion. So here's some of my Facebook posts. So here's what Jeff Bezos talks about work-life balance, and I've been talking about this thing for a long, long time. When even the phrase work-life balance sounds to me, when you're at work, are you at a dead state or what? Is it not your life? Why? I mean, the closest thing to not living is sleeping, but there is no such term as sleep-life balance. Why should there be a term called work-life balance? If my work is not a part of my life, that would mean 55% of your adult life, you're doing something that is not part of your life. That cannot be true. And that's why it's really, really important to make your work in a way that you'll enjoy it. It's all about being happy. So I'm giving you some more of my Facebook. So this is another self-made multimillionaire who also talks about work-life balance just doesn't exist, and I totally agree with her. We do not talk about problems, we talk about solution. There are some people who come to you say, this is not going to work because of this is not going to work because of this is not going to work because of this. They're actually working against you. You're against the solution. So your brain will come up with what you look for. If you look for excuses why things won't work, you will come up with really valid arguments. Those people are legit. Their arguments are flawless, but that doesn't help. That doesn't help. You have to think about solution. I believe we are living at a time, there hasn't been any time in the history of mankind which was as great as this, and I also think there won't be any. Because we're at a point that we have this thing called the internet. People are talking about the next big thing. I think for about at least a century, internet is still going to be the next big thing. It's massively underutilized still today. So we're really at an era that we should feel gratitude about. And feeling gratitude and appreciating, I appreciate the fact that you're all here. I appreciate the fact that we're such a great team. I appreciate everything in life. It's so important. Let's talk about our success in terms of income level and what's going to happen to you. Why is it important to aim twofold? First of all, the million that I talked about, I believe that should be the minimum bar. Then another thing, that how to achieve it. We're going to go through a drastic change in our lifetime. Let's say your income level is there are many other things that define success. We'll oversimplify it and we'll say income level is your success. As an engineer, you will start with, when you have 10,000 hours of experience, you're an expert in a certain field. And your income level goes a little bit high. If you work on your emotional development along with this, then you can go to the next stage, which is the authority stage. Like the people, the examples that I gave you, they're the authority in their field. And if you develop leadership skill along with authority, you will go to as a technical leader, or you'll be the technical lead. You'll be actually creating also other youngsters in your field. And if you, along with work on your social intelligence, you will go to the next step. These skills here, this will be commoditized in our time. Because of AI, AI will definitely do a better job than us. I mean, we software engineers, we are working to practically kill our job. We had C code, we have written C code 10 years ago, we have developed a code generator. So we're practically killing our job. This is just one, very simple example, but AI will do a better job than us, and this will be commodity. If you focus on that. If you focus on the top, you will be here, like the community leaders or the visionaries, the examples that I gave you. And this is where I want each of us to go. So if you think that what you're doing today and making money with, 10 years later it will happen, you are in illusion. You're in a serious problem with that. This is what I think.